Hi guys, let's talk about locations in Android. We'll be creating a demo app that is going to pick a set of locations using Google Places API. It then creates geofences around those places and turns your device into silent mode if you enter any of them. So we're actually first of all going to create an interface to add new location to a recycler view. Now that's what we'll be focusing right in this part. And the second part, we get to enable geofences, location permissions, and even ringer permissions. So from here, I'll be showing you on how to create your Google Places API for Android in Google API console. You need to register your application. So I would like you to go to this link you're seeing right there on your screen, the console.developers.google.com/flows/enable API, and the query will be the API ID, which is Places and Android, and we use key, which is true. Just follow this link, you get to this UI, and you will need to either agree to the terms and condition related to the API use, and you also check if you want email updates regarding features announcements and so on. Click yes to agree on the terms and condition, and if you don't want any updates, you can say no. So you agree and continue. With this, you're going to be forwarded to a Google console API, whereby you can easily create a new project, or you can select from the numerous projects that you've created right there in the Google console. But once you do that, you're going to generate your API key. Very important that you see that. Once you generate your API key, you can move on right there using the Google Places API for Android. Just follow those steps and you actually get that set up. After that, I'll be moving straight to Android Studio, where I have the source of this particular location application. And I will first of all talk about the dependencies. Let's look at the dependencies. We actually included the recycler view, because we're actually going to use recycler view to populate the list of locations that you might have selected. And you will need Google Play Services, which is the places specifically to places. Most times Google Play Services have been let's say it has been disintegrated into different aspects. We have the GMS, we have the places, we have other aspects of the API. It's always recommended to pick the specific model that you are building for. That's why I added the places, and also we needed the location. We have those compound set right there in your Gradle, right there in the dependencies. After doing that, you synchronize and you get your application set and ready to use the places and location API. From the build Gradle, I'll be heading straight to the rest, which is the layout, the XML, which is actually going to have the full layout structure of how your application is. In the layout, we have two XML, the activity main and the item place card. This place card is actually going to be like the item of the recycler. The activity main, which is going to be the launcher UI of this particular application. Let's see the structure, and also we're going to have a preview to actually see what it's going to look like. This is a relative layout with a linear layout right inside it, with an orientation of vertical, and it has a button to add new location. And this button have an on-click listener, which is called or trigger the on add place button clicked. That's just what the button is going to do right there sitting. And we have a text view for the location, and a view, just to have full structure of how the whole button and the recycler view is actually going to look like. And we included a recycler view with an ID of places list recycler view. That's actually going to hold on to the location that you might have selected. That's fine. I'll be heading straight to the item place, which is just going to be the item that is right on the row, each row of the recycler. You can actually use the card view here, and you can decide just to create an item. just to sit on the recycler view. This item is actually going to have an image view, which actually have a sort of location marker, and it's actually depicting a location. And we have a linear layout that houses the items. First of all, we look at the text view, which is going to hold on to the name of the location, and we have the second text view, which is actually going to populate the address of the location, and we have a view which is actually wrapped around this particular layout. So this is how the structure of the application is going to be looking. For now, we're still going to be extending more on this layout, where we get to include your fences, where we get to include the winger permission and some other functionality. From here, I'll be heading straight to the Java class. We have some values right there where we talk about the strings, where all strings values are being saved, and we have the colors that actually use the primary colors, and the primary tag, the accents, and so on. Now we'll be heading straight to the Java classes. We have a sub package called provider, which is like a content provider, because we're actually going to be saving some data to the SQLite database. When we pick a location and we need the metadata of that location saved, so that it's actually going to be populated right there in the recycler. That's the essence of the provider. We'll be talking about the contract, and we're talking about the helper, that is going to actually help us in doing that right there in the SQLite database. Let's look at the main activity, which is the launcher. We're going to have a main activity that actually launches up the application, and it extends app compact and implements the connection callbacks and the on connection failed listener. We've actually implemented the methods needed for this connection callback and its listener. I'll be talking about them later on. I have some constants whereby we specify the tag, the permission request file location, and the place speaker request. We assign an integer of 1 to that, and we have some member variables where we talk about the place list adapter. You need an adapter since we are using recycler view. You need an adapter to set those values to. We call on the recycler view. We have a boolean if it's enabled or not. And don't forget, we need the Google API client. You need to establish a client relationship with the Google API, which is the Google Places API. So don't forget about that. And we need the activities to start up. That's why we need an onCreate method that actually sets the content view to the layout we've just explained, which is the activity main. And we set up the recycler view. However, we call the M recycler view object. We find the view by ID based on the ID of the recycler view, which is places list recycler view, and we set the layout manager to a linear layout, and we also instantiate the place list adapter, which is actually going to take up the values, pass this and all as the 2 parameters, and we set the adapter to the value of the M adapter. That's cool. Now we establish a client. Look at the way we establish the client with the Google API client by instantiating that and building that up. We have the connection callbacks, we have the on connection fed listener, and we also have the API to the location services and the API to the places, and we enable auto manage, and we build up this connection. So these are to set up a client's connection to the API services, and when you call the Google API client is successfully connected, you have this method to override the unconnected, whereby we're passing a refresh places data method. We'll talk about that method later. And we're going to have another method called onConnection suspended. These are all connected to the implementation we did on the connection callbacks, the onConnection field listener. So that's just that. We have the onConnection field. So probably the connection field, what method you want it to trigger. We just decided to log out these 2 tags so that you notice that right there in your console for debug purpose. Let's look at the refresh places data, which was passed into the success, which is unconnected. This is actually bringing up URI, which is the place contract, whereby we get the content resolver. We are building up the URI, which is the SQLite database, and we're going to get values from there. Now we have an if statement to check if the data is null or the data get a count is you return the list, we're going to have a list array, of an object called youth, and we iterate through the data, got it, which we use a while loop to get the string and get the column index based on the contract and the place entry of the column place ID. That's just what we saved right there in the SQLite database. And we have the place results, and whereby we place that to the geodata API, and we also convert that to array and set the results callbacks. And during this process of setting the results callbacks, we need to swap places based on the places parameter. That's just how that is. This is actually calling the result of the content URI, and we iterate through to have each values which is going to be specified and which is going to be tagged with a column place ID. That's just that, so that we'll be able to populate the recycler. Now we need to add the button click. That was the method that was triggered right there from the XML when you actually click the button to launch the places to enable you to pick a place. And after you select the place, it's actually going to come straight to the recycler view that was created underneath. Now we need to test if there's a permission, that's actually a permission needed, which is access find location. This permission must be granted before you can be able to pick locations, based on your geographical location of that device. It's actually going to be aware of its location, and it's actually going to select bespoke location around you. So that's the essence of the places API. And we need a try and catch, whereby we created an intent builder to actually build up to start the activity for results, since we're actually going to need some of this metadata for results. And it's going to be the place picker request, and we actually catch the Google Play services repairable exception, and we catch the Play services not available exception, and also the major exception. These are just all errors that might arise in the course of calling the Google Places picker. Now we have a protected on activity for results to actually handle that request, whereby we have the request code, the result code, and the data, which is the intent data. Now we're going to test if the request code is equals to the place picker request and the result code is okay. So what's going to happen? You're going to create an object from the place, and you get the place which was selected, and if the place is equals to null, you're going to say no place selected. But if not, it's going to get the place ID, get the ID of the place, and at this point in time, it's going to insert into the content values, which is insert into the SQLite database. So that's why we need a content value to put based on the column place ID that you got. Getting the ID, we actually got the ID at first. Now you need to put that ID into the column called place ID. We get to look at how we structure the provider, and we insert that into the content using the content resolver to actually insert that into our DB. And at the point in time, we'll refresh places data to get live data information. So that's just how the structure of the main activity is. We'll get to look at how the adapter is going to actually bind values, and we're going to look at the provider that actually did the SQLite flow. Let's first of all look at the provider. Well, we have the contract first, which is, we all know what a contract is when we're talking about SQLite. This is actually a place whereby you specify your columns, specify some constant values that you would need right there in your SQLite database. We actually specify the authority, which is how your code knows which content provider to access. So we actually use a package to handle that. We specify the base content URI, which is actually passing the content, concatenating with the authority, turning it into a sort of a HTTP look-like. And we have the path places, which we assign the string value of places, and the place entry class that implements the base column, whereby we have the tax entry content URI, which is equals to the base content URI concatenate with the path. That's what that is doing. The content URI and the table name. We have a table name called places. We have the column. We have only one column, which is the column place ID, because we need just the ID of that place. That's just what's significant to each places that you're going to select. And let's look at the DB helper. In the DB helper, we extend the SQLite Open helper, whereby we give a database name called location DB and also a version of one. And we have the constructor that takes the context as a parameter. Now the onCreate is going to actually trigger when we are going to create a table to hold the places data. We create a table, we create places table that actually have how many columns? We have an ID, which is auto increment, an integer, and the column place ID, which is a text data type and not null. And we have a unique ID, give a unique key to the column place ID. So that's just the table created, and at the same time we have the on upgrade of the database. That's drop table if it exists. If it actually existed before, drop it and create the table. That's just what that explains. And let's look at the content provider. The content provider houses the major methods right there, useful with the DB. This extends the content provider, and we have the URI matcher to build URI, and we also have the onCreate method of the content provider, and we have the insert. These are all methods that will be used. This is when you actually insert into the DB, whereby we have the switch statement to test based on the match, which is calling from the URI matcher, and it's actually going to insert it correctly into its appropriate column. And we have the cursor as well, whereby we create the cursor, which has URI, projection, selection, the selection argument, and the sort order as parameters to use. Let's look at the other method. We have the delete, when you want to delete a place, probably from the recycler or even from the content provider. And we have the update as well. This is just a CRUD, create to read, update and delete process. So let's look at the place list adapter. This is actually the recycler view that binds value. We have the onCreate view order that inflates the item place card layout I explained earlier. And let's bind the view order. Notice when you bind values, and we bind the value of the place name and the value of the place address to its appropriate layout. That's just what that does. We have the swap places that actually force the recycler view to refresh. That's unnotified data set changed, so that there is going to be a new, probably once there's a new addition to the recycler view, there will be a trigger to the notified data set change. And we have the class of the view order. In this particular aspect, you can extend more on your recycler view. Probably you add an on-click lister to each recycler view item, but we actually don't need that for this particular application, because we are going to create geofences around those particular places that you actually selected from the place picker. So that's just what the place list adapter looks like, and the main activity as well. Let's get to look at the manifest. Manifest is the metadata of this particular application. At first, you need your API key. That's where you're going to lock your API key. Don't forget, you need your API key right inside this metadata portion. The API key you got from the Google Developer Console. And at the same time, you need two permissions for internet and permission to access find location state. And you need to lock in your provider, which is the content provider, which actually points down to the place content provider and its authority. Its authority too is very, very important. You need to actually log that in as well. So after all said and done, you've got the setup up to this point in time. I would like to test from an emulator, and I will also employ you on how to do this. If you're testing from an emulator, you must use an emulator that has Google Play services right there installed. So actually have to pick something higher. API that is like higher, probably from Lollipop or above, which will have Google Play services. Look at it closely. It must have Google Play services. And if not, I'll employ you to test on a real device from API 1890-2021. We've had Google Play services right there on your device. So Google Play services should be on your device, and if you don't have it, you need to update. Just check out. There's a portion gets all apps, get your Google Play services updated so that you can actually enjoy some API embedded right there in the Google Play services. So after all said and done, you can test this right there in the emulator, which I'll be doing. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Go with the application, the location geo, that's the name I gave the application. Cancel the button, the add new location, and this portion is to populate the recycler view. This portion you're seeing empty, but by once you pick a location, it's actually going to come to this list. So let's add the new location by clicking on this button. Now we have the picker. This is you're having something of this nature because I'm using an emulator. If you are using a real device, it's actually going to be aware of your location immediately, where you are and things like that. So you can easily select from the map from what you have. You can drag up to have some of the selection. And if you think the map is not giving you accurate value of what you need, you can search for any location you want. So let's just make a search to add up a location. Let's search for New York City, New York. You have that NY, United States. So you have that location. You can select. Can you see that? It comes down to the recycler view. You can decide to add another location. Let's add Washington DC this time around. Let's search for Washington. I'm actually adding locations that are not around me, but you should decide to add locations that are right there around you. Select again, you have that. So this time, let me add a location that's actually right there. I'm right there from Nigeria, and I'm actually going to pick. Let me get closer to pick the capital state, which is Lagos. So let's pick Lagos. So I can easily drag up. Let me drag up to select locations which are predominant to Lagos. Can you see that? Let me easily pick one. Let's say Cruiser Hotel. Right there at Lagos. I select. You have them populated right on the recycling. In the next part of this tutorial, we'll be creating geofences around this particular location that we selected, so that if you actually get into this location geofences, the device ringer is actually going to be triggered off. But once you leave that jurisdiction or that geofence, the device location will be reinstated back to normal. So that's the flow of the application. Thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout this tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful time.